So hello, welcome back to Picture Perfect Greek. And today we want to do something very exciting. We want to look at song lyrics. I always think song lyrics are among the best ways to learn a language because they are short, they are enjoyable, you can hear the music, and suddenly you can also understand the music. You can understand what the singer is singing about. And often the words are relatively easy. Song lyrics are normally not philosophical or talking about theoretical physics. So what you have are everyday language, everyday words, which are easy to understand and useful in your everyday life. So today we will start with one song by a very famous Greek singer, Giorgos Dalaras. Dalaras is one of the most famous singers in modern Greece. This particular song is from 1974 and is called Itan, Pente, Itan, exile.
Ήταν πέντε, ήταν έξι και έγινε επτά.
Now, if you have seen the video about ine, which I posted a while ago, the verb ine means I am, so itan is the past form of that, and it means it was. Pente, you know, is the number 5, and exile is the number 6. So it was 5, it was 6, and this refers to hours, to time. It was 5 o'clock, it was 6 o'clock. And this song goes through the hours. It tells you it was 5, it was 6, it was 7, it was 8, it was 9. And then at every hour something happens as this person thinks about himself, the singer, the person who is speaking, and sees the world around them and describes the world around them. It's a relatively easy song. It's short, it's beautiful, and you can have a lot of fun. I also here give you that translation into English. We will talk about the translation, but so just that you also have it on the screen, it makes it easier to follow. So look at the Greek. Itan pente, itan exi kiegine epta. So we are looking at this line, which I will be highlighting now. And I already told you what it means. Itan is the past form of ine. It is. So it was 5, it was 6. Itan pente, itan exi. Speak with me if you like. Repeat it with me so that you also can practice your pronunciation. Itan pente, itan exi. And now, ki. This ki is the short form of ke. Ke means and. Ki is often used when, for rhythmic reasons, like in this song, you don't want to say ke because it's a little longer and the a is a little more open. And what comes next is egine. So if I say keine, I get this very long e. While if I say keine, it fits better together, right? So the ki is just a shorter form of ke, which is sometimes used. Keine epta. Egine means, genome means something happens, I become something. You can say I become a doctor, genome yatros, keine, and it became 7. So this is about time again. It was 6 o'clock, it was 5 o'clock, it was 6 o'clock, and then it became 7 o'clock.
Το παράπονο με πήρε και κλάψα πικρά.
Το παράπονο με πήρε. Το παράπονο με πήρε. Parapono contains 2 words. Para means beside or along with, and pornos is the pain. It's also the concern sometimes. So it is beside the pain, beside the concern. And this kind of parapono here means the sadness, right? My sadness. So it's a very passive feeling of being powerless, of being sad, of being perhaps a little depressed. The sadness took me. Me pire. Pire comes from perno, taking something. The sadness me took, right? The sadness overcame me. Ke eklapsa pikra. And ke eklapsa comes from kleo, which is to cry. Eklapsa is the past form of this. So I cried pikra. Pikros, this is a very common word in songs because many Greek songs are sad for some reason. And pikro you hear in lots of songs means bitter. Kerklapsa, pikra. So the sadness overtook me and I cried bitterly. I cried. Eklapsa means I cried, right? Is the same like before, kleo, eklapsa. Ya tin zoimu. Ya means for. Izoi, tin, I is the article, right? So I cried for. Tin zoi, for my life. Zoi is the life. This is where a zoo comes from, or zoology. It's all derivations from zoi, which means life. Zoon means animal, because the animal is alive, obviously. So I cried for life, mu, mine, right? So my life, in English you say my life. In Greek, the my always comes after the thing. So you say life mine, car mine. So the mine always comes after the thing that is yours, not before, right? Eklapsayeti zoimu. So I cried for my life. Και για το γραφτό. The γραφτό comes from grapho. Grapho means to write. And γραφτό is what is written, what has been written. And this comes, Greece was for a long time occupied by the Turkish. Many concepts in Greek, especially emotional concepts or religious concepts, although the Greeks are not Islamic, they're Orthodox, are influenced by Muslim culture. And one of them is this, the grafto, what has been written. And perhaps for Muslims, the life and the fate of people has been written by God, and you are not able to change it. It's God's thing to give you whatever he wants, whatever he has written for you in this book of fate. And this is what this means. I cry for my life and for what has been written. To grafto means what has been written down. And a very famous instance of this in Western culture is the movie Lawrence of Arabia, where there is this boy that gets lost in the desert and the others say, leave him lost in the desert. There's no need to go and get him because his death has been written. It is written. And then Lawrence of Arabia, of course, he being the British man who does not believe in fate, says nothing is written. And he goes back to the desert to save the boy. If you have seen the movie, probably you remember the scene. It's a very strong scene. The fun of it is that afterwards the boy dies anyway because it has been written.
Truly, for some men, nothing is written unless they write it.
Right? So, as humans, we cannot do anything against what has been written. And this is what is meant with this line. So I cried for my life and for what has been written for me, for my fate. Το ρολόι μου δείχνει 8. Το ρολόι. Ρολόι is the watch, the clock. And δείχνω means to point, to show something. Το ρολόι μου δείχνει. Δείχνει is the third person singular. My clock shows 8. 8. My clock shows 8. Διάβασα τα γεγονότα και την κοσμική. He is reading the newspaper. He is bored. He is reading the newspaper and he says, διάβασα, I read, comes from διαβάζω, to read. Διάβασα τα γεγονότα. The facts, newspapers, if you have, ever seen any, because nowadays people don't read newspapers anymore, but they used to have these different sections. One section was for sports, one section is for news that happen, one section is for commentary, one section is for culture, and so on. And the γεγονότα, the facts, is the newspaper section that tells you the facts, the news of the day. So I read the news of the day, και την κοσμική, and the και την, right? Kosmiki, cosmos is the word. Kosmiki used to be the word for the section of the newspaper that is about celebrity and culture and society. So where you would see who married whom, among the famous Hollywood people and so on. So I read the facts part of the newspaper, the news part of the newspaper, and I read the celebrities part.
Για ποδόσφαιρο, για φόνους και πολιτική.
Για ποδόσφαιρο, I read about. The ya means about in this case, not for. I read about football. Ποδόσφαιρο. Podi is the foot and sphera is the sphere, right? Like in English, same word. Το ποδόσφαιρο. The football, foot sphere, right? I read about football. Για φόνους, about, first about football, comma, about phonos. And phonos is the murder. So I read about football, about murders, and politiki. Now this is easy. Politiki means politics. I read about politics.
Στην Ασία φασαρίες, την ακεριμινιά.
Στην Asia, in Asia, fasaria means to quarrel. It's a quarrel, commotion, shouting. Loud, it has to be loud. Sometimes you can say fasaria purely for loudness. So if you cannot sleep in the night because your neighbor is listening to his loud TV or loud music, you can say, this is fasaria, this is loud noise, right? It doesn't need to be quarrel, it doesn't need to be violent, it can just be loud. But often it's also associated with quarreling, which makes a loud noise. In this case, when you talk about geopolitics, it will be perhaps wars. It will be violence between states, revolutions. These are big kinds of fasaria. So in Asia, you have this kind of commotion, quarrels, revolutions. Pina. Pina is a very common word. Pinao means I'm hungry. Hunger. Ke, ki means ke. Erimia. Erimia comes from Eremos. Eremos is the desert. Erimia is desert-like conditions, desolation. So in Asia, you have quarrels, you have hunger, you have desolation. Now remember, this is 1974. We are not talking about modern Shanghai here. We are talking about the Asia of 1974, which was a very different place from what it is today. Το ρολόι μου δείχνει 9. Now you understand this hopefully already because we had a very similar sentence earlier. Το ρολόι, my watch, the watch. Το ρολόι μου, my watch. Δείχνει shows 9. And 9 is a different form of 9, means 9.
Μια γειτόνισσα πουλώνει ρούχα καθαρά.
Μια γειτόνισσα. Mia means one, female. Gitonisa. Gitonas is the neighbor. Gitonisa is the female neighbor, is the woman neighbor. Mia gitonisa. Απλώνει. Aplono means to spread. Spreads. Rucha, clothes. Καθαρά, clean. Clean clothes. A female neighbor, a woman neighbor, is spreading clean clothes. And the spreading in this case means hang out to dry. Hang out to dry. So she has on her balcony presumably these lines, and she hangs the clothes over the line to dry. Pleni. Pleno means to wash, is the neighbor, is the female neighbor. She washes, right? She washes the clothes. Με μία νέα σκόνη, with one new powder. Washing powder. She washes the clothes with a new washing powder. Και είναι and they are astraftera, shiny. Astraftera, astrafto is related to astro. Astro means star. So they are sparkling with stars, right? Like stars. They are twinkling like stars. The clothes, they are shiny, right? Because they are so clean. So this is making fun of advertisements of our commercial world. This whole song is critical in that it evaluates what modern society is doing to the individual, right? So you have the bad news from what happens around the world, murders, and whatever happens in the third world, we would say, right? In Asia, in poor countries. And all this is depressing. And then you have, as a contrast to this, the neighbor hanging out these clothes. And because they are washed with this new powder, they are sparkling. And this is, of course, making fun of the advertisements for these washing powders. Με τραγούδια για την φτώχεια. Με τραγούδια. Τραγούδια is a very interesting word. It means songs. I don't want to confuse you more, but it is related to tragedy, right? Because in ancient Greece, in tragedies, you had parts where the choir was singing, and then from this came the word τραγούδι. So με τραγούδια, with songs, just means songs. Για την, about, again, για, in this case means about. Φτώχεια. Φτώχεια is the poverty. Φτωχός is a person who is poor. Φτώχεια is the poverty. Και την ξενιτιά. Ξενιτιά, xenos, means stranger, foreigner. This is where xenophobia comes from, right? The fear of strangers. With songs about poverty and exile in this case, not strangeness. Xenitya means exile, means migration. Because the experience of Greeks, especially in the middle of the 20th century, Greece was a poor country. Then they had a dictatorship, very bad governments, even more poverty, even more suffering. They had to go abroad to earn money. Many Greeks went to Germany, others went to the United States, others went to Australia. This is why you have all these Greek communities everywhere. And this experience of being a migrant, of being in a strange place, was particularly used by Dalaras, was experienced in his songs, was described in his songs. He has many songs which mention this experience of migration, of having to go away from your home, become a stranger, being exiled, living in a foreign country. And this was, for many, many Greeks, a lived experience throughout their lives. And so Dalaras is now making fun of himself. He says, with songs about poverty and exile, retire, perno stin kifisya. That's the next line. Retire. You recognize the word retirement, right? Retirement is in there. Retire is a flat, normally a small flat, high up in a good place, comfortable flat. Retire, perno. I am taking, or I am buying, right? In this case, it means I am buying in Kifisya. Kifisya is the rich place in Athens, or at least was the rich place in 1974. It's one of the best neighborhoods of Athens. So like New York or London, right? Athens also has a complex structure with different neighborhoods. Some are poorer, some are working quarters, some are richer. And Kifisya was always considered the best, the richest, the most luxurious place where you would live. And so he's criticizing himself, right? He's saying, with songs about poverty and exile, I am buying my retirement home in Kifisya, in the richest part of Athens. And so this is a criticism of himself, of the singer, right? Who realizes that he is exploiting this world. He's using the suffering of this world for his own advantage, personal advantage. And now this is depressing. And so this is what he sees from now on. This world is depressing. It's not getting any better. And now we go to the next line.
Τα λουλούδια δεν μυρίζουν, είναι πλαστικά.
Τα λουλούδια, the flowers. Luludi is the flower. That means then, not. Then mirizo. Mirizo is to smell. They don't smell. Είναι πλαστικά. They are made of plastic. The flowers do not smell. They are made of plastic. Modern world, you have these powders that wash clothes perfectly. You have murders in Asia. You have all this information society that gives you all this information. You can exploit it by singing songs, but still the flowers don't smell because they are made of plastic. So these are the depressing sides of modern society.
Ένα φίλο και μια αγάπη είχα μια φορά.
Ένα φίλο, έναν it should be, right? Because philos in this case means friend, so it's masculine, it's not neutral. You may abbreviate it, you may drop the N in order to pronounce it more easily, especially if you're singing it, but normally it should be έναν φίλο. So a friend, a male friend, και μία αγάπη, and one agape. Agape, perhaps you know from Christian, agape is love, right? And a love. And the love, of course, is a love, interest, right? Lover. Είχα μία φορά. Είχα, echo, είχα means in the past. I had comes from echo, which means I have. Μία φορά, one time, once. So once upon a time, right, in the past, I had a friend and a lover. But he doesn't say it, but what it means is, but now I don't. Right? Now I'm alone.
Τώρα βρέχει, κάποιος τρέχει, δεν μπορώ να δω.
Τώρα βρέχει. Now it rains. Now it rains. Κάποιος τρέχει, somebody is running. Δεν μπορώ να δω. I cannot see. Δεν μπορώ means I cannot. Να δω. Δω comes from βλέπω. I see is irregular verb. So να δω, to see. I cannot to see. I cannot see. Now it's raining. Someone is running. I cannot see. Why can I not see? Because of my tears, right? He is crying because of his, and he said he is crying, right? Because of his fate. And it's raining, of course, raining and tears. This is the usual association. Bad weather, sad weather. Somebody's running, but I cannot see. The clock stops here. Toroloi, the clock, stamatise, stamato, means to stop. This is also where stasi comes from, which means the bus stop. Stasi leoforion, stop for buses, bus stop. Stamatise, toroloi stamatise, the clock stopped here. And the song also stops here, so everything is bad, everything is horrible, except the song, which is a beautiful song, and you should go and watch it. I will leave a link in the description. We heard a little bit of it here. So I hope you found this interesting, you found this nice for your Greek learning, and I will see you again with another video where we learn Greek from song lyrics. Thank you, and see you. Bye-bye.